I do want to talk about Puka Nacua because I think that there's hesitation because one, Cooper Kupp's back and Puka just had a poor fantasy week. So the Steelers in this matchup allow the fourth most fantasy points per game to wide receivers and the fourth most passing yards per game. You think about Cooper Kupp instantly, but Puka has been a great play pretty much this entire season. I know it was a down week, but remember that Cooper Kupp, when he returned 2 weeks ago, both of those guys had over 10 targets. We're looking at a guy who scored 20 plus fantasy points in 4 games this season. Don't let one down week prevent you from playing Puka Nacua, at least in your flex. You likely picked him up off of waivers or drafted him super late. So he's not a guy like you drafted in the first round and now you're so concerned you want to trade him for anything. It's a great matchup. And, most importantly, I think we need to understand that the volume is there. Matthew Stafford has thrown the third most passing attempts so far this season. So can Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua operate and be very fantasy relevant? Absolutely. And I love this matchup for Puka this week. Another flex option just to talk about briefly is Joshua Palmer. It's not necessarily the most amazing matchup versus the Chiefs, but when you look at the game script of the Chargers versus the Chiefs, what are you going to say? You're going to say that this game is going to be played through the air, right? Keenan Allen's having an amazing season, so the attention is going to be on Keenan Allen when it comes to these two guys. Palmer has been operating as the team's wide receiver 2 since Mike Williams tore his ACL. Across the last 3 games played, Palmer has both earned 7 or 8 targets and finished with 60-plus receiving yards in those games. Across the last 2 games, Palmer has played 86% and 97% of the snaps, so he's on the field a ton, pretty much the entire game. He's consistently getting targets. He's having some decent receiving yard totals. And I think that in this specific game, if someone's a sneaky anytime touchdown scorer, it's Joshua Palmer with, the focus on Keenan Allen. Same matchup. Let's talk Rashee Rice, the second-round rookie for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers allow the most fantasy points per game to wide receivers and the most passing yards per game. He's quietly the second most targeted player in the Chiefs, again, as a rookie. Rice is coming off of a season-high 78 receiving yards in Week 6. He scored double-digit fantasy points for the 4th time this season last week. Rice has earned 5 or more Patrick Mahomes targets 4 times this season and scored 2 touchdowns. When you are getting Patrick Mahomes targets, it's a bit different than most quarterbacks in the league. So he's been a very impactful wide receiver. We just need him to start playing above 50% of the snaps. That's the one asterisk for Rashee Rice. But all signs are pointing in the direction that this could be the breakout week for the rookie.